All right. Oh, wow. It even tells me that. Okay. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah. Where you said the bio was on, where did you find that bio? Is that on my website?
That's your website. Yeah.
Wow. I got to
Yeah.
make sure that's too long.
Yeah.
All right. But thank you. Thanks for that. Um, so, wow. Thank you for having me here. Thank you, Marina, for asking me to do this. My life's been kind of chaotic, but I don't think that's any different from anybody else lately. Um, some of you know that my dad has recently passed away. If you follow my YouTube channel, I guess you might see that. um, yeah, it was something that was not like all of a sudden, but it was definitely something we were kind of seeing down the line. You know, it was really interesting when COVID hit, everybody didn't know what to do. Like even our family, like, oh my God, how are we going to work? What are we going to do with our kids? Um, and yeah, many people struggled. Like we had a pretty good situation, but many people didn't have such a good situation. And it turned out to be really pretty bad for a lot of people. Then there was this hope like, oh, maybe next year, 2021 is going to be the year. But what does that really mean? Like, okay, this year's going to be great. Why? Why should it be great? We still have human suffering. And that's something I really has hit home to me this whole year. I mean, last year, but also continuing this year. Before I kind of knew about my dad, I knew he was having health issues. You know, he had a quadruple bypass in 2015. He's had diabetes for several years. So we kind of knew that he wasn't in the best shape. Even after his quadruple bypass, he just lived the same lifestyle. He's kind of like, live life to the fullest, do what you want, eat what you want. So his kind of health is deteriorated. So I thought it'd be good to visit him. Um, his partner for over 21 years was kind of giving me more input. He never talked very much about his condition or his situation, but she did. So I knew that I probably should go visit him. And I don't even remember when this is. It was probably 3 months ago or 2 months ago. I went up to Oregon. He lives in the southern coast of Oregon. And just to see what was really going on, like how he was doing, what was really going on, what kind of care did he have. And it was pretty clear that, he had some issues. Apparently he had liver cancer, which no one knew about. But there was a little bit more to it as well. We also figured out that he had cirrhosis, but not due to drinking, but due to fatty liver. So during my visit, I thought it was important at that time is just to kind of connect with him, see how he was doing. And it seemed like his mind was pretty strong. It was unusual to see him so weak, because I remember him as a kid being very strong because he's a stocky guy, he used to be in the army. Um, Kind of very, I don't know what the word is, aggressive, had some anger issues and things like that, really didn't express much emotion. But to see him kind of like lost a lot of weight and see his body very weak was very surprising to me. But his mind was still pretty much the same that I remember. He was always very humorous about life. Like I really didn't see much fear in him. In fact, when I went to visit him, he was telling me, or his partner was telling me of stories before his quadruple bypass. He was making jokes with the nurse and doing things like this. So yeah, during the visit, it was really important. I was asking him about stories about his life and started recording them. But I just had this feeling like something wasn't quite right. There was this idea because he had the cirrhosis, he had a lot of fluid in his stomach. And what happened is like he never felt hungry because of all the pressure. And he had it drained once, but then it came back. And so since he wasn't eating because he didn't feel hungry, he was losing a lot of muscle. So he started becoming very weak. Um, it first started with his legs. So he started using a walker because he was still strong in his upper body. But just my intuition was like, I don't think he has much longer. You know, the whole plan was, all right, let's deal with this fluid. So if he takes this diuretic, that can get rid of the fluid, he'll get his appetite back, start eating food, gain some more muscle, and get his strength back. So after I was visiting him, it had a family emergency. Actually, my son broke his arm while I was away. So I had to drive back to California and attend to that situation, which at that time wasn't so good. And then later I find out, like I was talking to my aunt, his sister, our dad's sister, and saying, you know, we should get into think about palliative care, which I didn't know what that was at the time. That's like pre-hospice, you know, like making sure somebody's comfortable. Basically, that's it. Making sure you're comfortable and able to do the things that you need to do. But then I get a call from her saying, wow, he's way beyond palliative care. He needs hospice care. So I called his partner and figured out like his health situation was getting worse. So I decided, okay, I'm going to go back and visit him. So this time I went up to Oregon and I brought my whole family. I have 2 kids, 2 younger kids, and my wife joined me. And we stayed there. And yeah, basically was deteriorating very quickly. So then, you know, he had not so much strength in his legs, but then he lost strength in his arms. Now he can't even use a walker to go anywhere. And for him, it was mind blowing. You know, just like 2 weeks ago, he was going to the store, visiting people, and all of a sudden his health started deteriorating. And so he had a couple of really bad nights where he couldn't sleep. And at one point he said, you know, I can't do this anymore. There's no way I can go on like this. So luckily my wife was kind of in the process of setting up all of the hospice care, doing all the kind of behind the scenes, calling, all the paperwork and things like that. And apparently the nurse was coming out the day where he said, if I have one more night like this, I don't want to be here anymore. I said, just wait till 1 p.m. If you can just wait till 1 p.m., we can look at your options. So the hospice nurse came and, you know, for him, it was a big awakening because he said, will I get my strength back? And she was very clear and said, nope, you will not. So for him, it was a big step in kind of letting go of trying to get better again. His liver was in the last stage where it can be, so his body was failing quickly. So luckily we got hospice and care and we started making him more comfortable. I spent a lot of time with him trying to, you know, help him and do the right things. And, you know, eventually on June 6th, he passed away and I was with him. He passed away at 8 a.m. very peacefully. But this whole time there, I was thinking about life and death. And I was thinking about how can I help? This is a very big theme in the Quantum School of Zen. As a teacher, we always let people read the human root, which probably most of you are familiar with. I'll read the poem. Coming empty-handed, going empty-handed, that is human. When you are born, where did you come from? When you die, where do you go? Life is like a floating cloud which appears. Death is like a floating cloud which disappears. The floating cloud itself originally does not exist. Life, death, coming, going are also like that. But there is one thing that remains clear. It's pure and clear, not depending on life and death. So what is the one pure and clear thing? So I've read this hundreds of times. I've heard students read it hundreds of times, but it really, I think, hit home for many reasons. Coming into this world with nothing, we spend so much energy, time and energy and money, gathering things, getting things, chasing things, and eventually we can't keep it. And if we really just look at that first statement, it seems crazy. You may hear Zen Master Sung Song say, that life originally has no meaning. And this is what he means by this. We come to this world with nothing, we gather all this stuff, and we can't take any of it with us. And then it has a couple of interesting questions, right? When you're born, where did you come from? And when you die, where do you go? Obviously, there's a lot of theories about this, even in Buddhism. But we ask these questions in Zen to really be honest and sincere. Do we really know where we came from? And do we really know what happens when we die? Honestly, sincerely. And that was really something interesting I was seeing in my dad. You know, he was raised Mormon, then became an atheist, then became, I guess, a general Christian, I guess would be the answer. But even he looked at this question, because we talked about this quite a bit. You know, he told me that I've traveled all over the world. I love adventures. I'm really looking forward to this next adventure, but I have no idea what's going to happen. He said, I'm hoping maybe I'll meet my maker. And if I go the other way, luckily I have a lot of friends down there, so I can go see them again. Or maybe, he said, this was funny, maybe I'll come back as a little puppy dog. Or maybe it just don't exist. You know, it was really interesting to hear somebody who's at that stage of dying talk about this, right? You know, in Zen, we're asking these questions, usually earlier in life, sometimes later. But to see, you know, someone I knew who didn't really believe in any of the stuff, really, just question it, but keep open to it. Like, I don't know, it's an adventure, I just don't know. I thought that was really important and really helped me to realize why we have these kinds of questions in Zen, why we do Kongan practice. It's to help us return to this original state of really not knowing. So the poem continues, life is like a cloud which appears, death is like a cloud which disappears. So this is, if you look at the Heart Sutra, we have this teaching about form is emptiness, emptiness is form, right? So it's kind of like this opposites world. Life, death, coming and going. But the line after that says that the floating cloud itself originally does not exist. And I think that's really important too, right? That's where in the Heart Sutra we talk about no eyes, no ears, no tongue, no body, no mind. It's like if you have, let's say, a tree, it has a name and form. We call it a tree, but we cut this tree down and chop it up. This form, tree, is now empty, right? It doesn't have any self-permanent nature. But this emptiness is now form, which we call logs. So if we take those logs and set it on fire and burn it all the way to the ground, then this new form is also empty. Emptiness is form. Now we have ashes. So I think that's a really, for me, was a really interesting point of seeing that it's not like there's nothing, but what is there in this moment, right? We don't call ashes a tree, we call it ashes. So life and death and coming and going are also like that, but not only life and death, coming and going, like, dislike, I, you, us, and them. This is all created by ourselves. We create this in our own mind. So asking these questions, we return to before that. Because actually this teaching, when I hear everything is changing, really look at that question. It's actually bullshit. I mean, because if everything is changing, then that means there's a past, present, and future, right? Because in this moment, how can anything change? This moment is just this moment. Just like a tree is just a tree. Logs are just logs. Ashes are just ashes. So using that question to come to that point, the one thing that's pure and clear, that's not depending on life and death, not depending on coming and going, it's not dependent on any of that stuff. Now, as a teaching point, I kind of get it. I try to express it when I talk about this poem. But I think being with my dad was really a powerful experience of that, right? Because we ask in the end, What is the one pure and clear thing? That's not dependent on all of this stuff, right? So hopefully, like when we're giving interviews to someone who's new, we try to help them return to don't know. What is the one pure and clear thing? If they're smart, they might say, oh, our true self. Well, what's your true self? Oh, that's clear mind. What's clear mind? That's enlightened nature. You keep asking these questions until eventually you don't know, right? It's like taking an onion, you start peeling all the layers back. And we get to this place where we're stuck. But honestly, like a curiosity and openness. What is this? No idea. So trying to help my dad through this process, because I was one of the caretakers, one of the main caretakers, I didn't know what the hell I was doing 98% of the time. Especially when he got to the place where he couldn't communicate anymore. It's like, is he in pain? Does he need water? Am I bothering him? Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it was only when I started thinking of how I can help, or thinking about, or what should I do, or what could I do, that actually made a disconnection between myself and my dad. And what was really interesting is he was teaching me that, even though he couldn't communicate very well. A couple examples. One of them was, it was, I think, 2 nights before he passed, but he wasn't speaking very much. And I thought that was the night he was going to pass. So I had this clever idea. I was like, okay, Dad, he lived by the ocean, right? We had the windows open. Listen to the ocean. Become one with the ocean. And he said, no. And it just woke me up like, what am I doing? Like, even a good Zen idea can't help him at that moment, right? There was that disconnection. So I was like, oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? I have no clue. So, but when I was able to return back to that don't know, or we can say one and pure clear thing, I knew exactly what to do. Because our intuition always knows what to do in every moment. The only thing that disconnects us from this intuition is attachment to thinking. Of course, we have to use our thinking. I had to use it many times in order to help him. But my idea couldn't help him. I'm trying to think if there was another example. Oh, yeah, even when it got even further down, I was trying to do something, I think he had a lot of fluid in his mouth. I don't know if you have heard of a death rattle, but it's kind of close to the end where there's fluid kind of in the back of the throat because they can't swallow. And it makes this really creepy sound. I hope no one ever has to hear it. But I was trying to like get it out and do things. And I kept touching him a little bit and I can see him go. Again, it's like my idea of what I thought I should be doing got in the way. And then I finally just said, all right, that's it. I'm not going to do anything else. So I just sat by him, held his hand. Again, I wasn't really thinking about it and just was being with him. I didn't say anything. I wasn't planning anything, but I really felt that connection, that between him and I, where there wasn't a separation. It was just intuitive response. And the more I could do that, things just appeared by itself. And at that point I said, Dad, it's time to go. We all love you very much. It's time to let go. And within 10 minutes, he passed away. Very interesting to see that experience. He was breathing, it stopped, then he was breathing, stopped, and he was breathing. And eventually it just completely stopped. And at that point, everything came up. I was crying, but I just started chanting. It was the only thing, I don't want to say that I could do. It's just something that appeared by itself. So I think it's really important, this one pure and clear thing, we call it don't know mind or intuition, whatever it is really, really important. I was just listening to a story not too long ago about a school counselor who was working with a 17-year-old girl at the high school. And this girl decided to move out of her dad's house and to move in with their mom, right? The parents were separated. The school counselor decided, this is a great idea. I support you. Well, the father ends up hearing about this and he is not happy with this decision. And not only that, this counselor knew that this father used to be a cop and he was actually fired because of his aggression. So this counselor is very nervous because the father said, I want to meet with you, and scheduled a meeting with this counselor. So the counselor before the meeting is thinking about all the things he's going to say at this meeting, right? We do that too, right? You have a fight with someone and you don't talk for a little while and they want to talk to you, and you're thinking, you're trying to think about all the things you're going to say to this person. So he was thinking about all of the things he's going to say to this father, and why he supports the daughter, what's his reasoning behind it, all of these things. But he said when it came to the actual meeting, he went into the meeting, saw the father's face, super angry, and he completely froze, the counselor. Everything he thought he was going to say just went out the window, right? He was like, And he said that it was interesting because he just went with it, right? Because he didn't have any other options. So he just said, kind of like we say, don't know what to do here in this situation. No clue what to say, how to respond. Then he said when he was able to do that, just like let go of this story that he had prepared, something else happened. And that's when he had a connection with his father. And then something else opened up in his mind. So he told the father, oh, you must love your daughter very much to be so angry. And when he told the father that, the father started crying, right? Very different response from what he was expecting. So it's the same thing about keeping this don't know mind, that we really don't know what to do in our life. Many of the times. Even if we think we have things figured out, soon it's not going to make much sense. But if we really look at our life, for me anyways, it doesn't make any sense. When I was a monk, it didn't make any sense. Now being married and having 2 kids, that doesn't make any sense. So what do we have left? We have this original nature, right? This don't know, this intuition that's already there in every moment, that's able to connect to this world and something that can actually help the world. But it's just a fact that our idea can get in the way, at least if we're attached to it, even if it's a good Zen idea. So what I came out of this kind of experience, I just got back last Sunday actually from Oregon, was really the importance of being honest and sincere. So all of these questions, all of the Koan interviews, all of that stuff is not to test anybody, not to make people's life difficult. It's to help us live a clear life. Zen Master Sung Song talks about this, I believe, in The Whole World's a Single Flower. If you look at the end of it, and he talks about how Kongans were used to use to test somebody's enlightenment and things like this. He wanted us to use Kongans to help our lives become clear. And what that means is using these questions to return to don't know, so it actually can be something we can use in our life to help, not only ourselves, but all around us. So thank you everyone for coming and listening to my talk. If you have any questions, I guess any kind of question, practice, meditation, Zen, anything, I guess is okay. No questions, that's also okay.
Go ahead, Marina.
Thank you. Hi, Jason. Thank you so much for
Hi.
that
A beautiful talk. And thank you so much for sharing with us such a personal experience. Um, I was moved to tears, because I often think about my mom, and I don't have a close relationship with her.
Yeah.
I still would want to be able to do it the right way,
Yeah.
to just be there, and sometimes I think that not saying anything, just being in the moment and just seeing, okay, what is needed. That makes a lot of sense, and think how many times in my life do I go into situations, playing it out like, this is what I
Hmm.
have to say, this is what's going to happen. And it's never like that.
I know.
And and how many times do I have to do that to learn? But that was just really moving. And when you said that, you wanted him to like hear the sound of the ocean, and I mean, that's something like I probably would do because I love the ocean so much, and I
Yeah.
get peace that way, right? But it's really about stepping back, and and I like how you said, like, there had to be a separation for you to do it, in order to just intuitively do the right
Mm.
thing. And it's such an interesting thing, right? Because it's like Zen on one level is about connection, but then again, you talk about the ability to just separate, like, emotionally, and just to be in the moment and to see, what is the right action. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you can talk a little bit about that. To me, that's a
Yeah.
little confusing. It's,
Well,
yeah.
it is. I mean, even before my first visit, I wasn't sure if I should go because I asked him, hey, could I come up? And he said, no. But intuitively, I felt, no, I should go. My brother said, no, you shouldn't go. Leave him alone. We want to remember him as he was. And then other people are saying, no, you have to go. So I'm confused, and even before all of this, I didn't know what to do. So, but it was the same thing. I said, should I go? Should I not go? I don't know. I really don't know, like, but I knew in my gut that it was just pulling me. There's something about just trusting that intuition. And, that's something that I've become familiar with most of my life. Um, leaving the Providence Zen Center, that was a big one. Many people said, don't do that. That's crazy. Why do you do that? And, and then you start checking yourself. Maybe they're right. Maybe they don't know. We don't know. And how could anyone else know what we should do? Like, why we don't even understand other people. So we don't understand other people, and we don't even understand ourselves. So how could someone else say I should do this or shouldn't do that? I don't even know. So it was really kind of using that question and getting more in touch in my gut. Like, I'm going to go. And I just got in the car and started driving. I didn't even tell my dad. I guess I told his partner. I said, you know what, I'm coming up, just so you understand. And then it wasn't until, and I always thought he was going to be pissed. Again, we didn't have a very close relationship. And when we would talk, it would be like, he would say, so how's it going? Good, cool. How are the kids? Good. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later. There was no deep conversations or anything like that. So I always thought, man, he's going to be pissed because, as a kid, he's always yelled at us and did things. But I just went. And again, I'm based on this kind of gut feeling. And then on my way up almost to the borderline of Oregon, I got stuck in traffic on one because I guess part of the road disappeared. So there was a lot of traffic. And I decided to call him. I'm like, I'm going to have to do it. I have to let him know. So I called him. I said, he was like, where are you? Or what are you doing? I said, I'm on a road trip. And he said, and I said, he goes, what do you mean? And I said, well, I'm coming up. And he goes, yeah, I know, but where are you? Like, I guess his partner told him I was coming, and he was so happy I was coming. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, he told me not to come. And other people, even my brother, said, don't do it. But other people said, you should do it. I was confused, but it was something about following my gut. I knew. And again, I don't know how I knew, but it's just something beyond our understanding of it, right? Because this world is connected. I don't want to sound like kind of a spiritual person here, but if we really tap into not knowing, we connect with everything around us, right? So we can respond to what's appearing rather than just responding to our kind of controlled habitual thinking. So it started with that. And then from there I said, okay, I got to trust that, to be honest. And it's like, I know what it feels like. We all do. We know when that intuition's clear. So if we can start trusting it more, then everything else becomes clear, right? Because you and I know, like if we just follow our thinking around, it gets us into a lot of trouble, at least for me. Following emotions around just gets us in a lot of trouble. But something about following our true self or gut or whatever you want to call it, intuition, that means that everything becomes clear, right? The thinking opens up and becomes very clear. Our heart opens up and becomes very clear. And in fact, I don't think it's a separation. It's just everything's in balance. So it's really like using the questioning, using the practice to be honest. Like we think we should know what we're doing, but I don't know anybody who knows what they're doing. I really don't. So I hope that helped.
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marina, for sharing.
Jason, I just want to say that the part of the story where you were, where you felt your dad was slipping away and you opened the window and said, "Become one with the ocean." That was very relatable. I can just think of many situations. There's no question here, by the way, but I can just think of many situations where trying to sometimes do the right thing can interfere with the actual action. I feel like that's even a very good sort of metaphor for a lot of my meditation experiences, where I'm trying too hard to produce something, and that gets in the way of kind of what's already naturally there. So I just found that very relatable.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I have to thank my wife for this because she's always teaching me this, right? Because I'm a person who, like, something happens, I'm a fixer, man. It's like, just get it done and fix it. So anytime she comes to me with some issue or something, I'm always trying to fix it. And she's like, "What are you doing?" Like, she just gets more mad. I'm like, because I have this idea of trying to help, right? Even this bodhisattva idea of trying to help can get in the way. You know, I talk about a story a lot about this person who practiced in our school. And when they first started practicing, they were very enthusiastic about practicing. It was the first time at the Zen Center, and like everything, the sitting, the smell of the incense, the Buddha, everyone practicing together, they were really inspired. So they had this idea, like after practice, he got onto the bus during rush hour and he starts thinking about all of the ways he was going to help the world, right? So in his mind, he thought, maybe I'll be a monk. No. It was funny too, because when he got onto the bus, he sat in the very front seat and it was during rush hour. So he's just sitting around thinking about all of the different ways he was going to help this world because he was inspired. No, I don't want to be a monk. Maybe I'll become a teacher. Yeah, that's the best way. Or maybe I'll go here and help, families in this country or something like this. Many different ideas. And he said he doesn't remember when, but at some point he kind of snapped out of it and he looked around the bus and it's jam-packed. Everybody's standing too, right? If you weren't sitting, crammed like sardines. And right in front of him was this very old woman. He said probably in her mid 90s, hanging onto the pole, standing up and just giving this look like, and he was like, "Oh my God, what the hell was I thinking?" And he said that even though he had this wonderful intention and he was, wanted to do something helpful, he realized that if his mind was clear at that moment, he said he would have just got up and not even thought about it, right? Please have a seat. But he was in a dream. And I call this the "how may I help you" dream, or the bodhisattva dream. So it doesn't matter what kind of dream it is. Usually for practitioners, most of the time it's this "how can I help" dream. But that just gets in the way, because if our mind was clear, like, how can I help this world? I have no idea. Boom. Oh no, there's a person here. Please have a seat. It would be very easy. So yeah, I find it, to hear stories like this, it's really good because we can all relate to that and how it gets in the way of actually doing the correct thing. I don't even say the right thing. It's just whatever is necessary at that moment. And I think, if we take advantage of events like this that are pretty powerful, the practice and everything just really becomes strong, I think. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Eileen, I see you everywhere. Where don't I see you?
I don't know. When you stop seeing the flies in the wall, I'll probably go missing.
Well, it's good to see you. Yeah, very good to see you.
So, when you said that it was a surprise to find your father was so ill, it kind of meant that he didn't tell you. But yet his partner would have known. And so in my mind, I'm thinking he probably told his partner, you can't tell anybody.
Oh, yeah.
And this actually happens even in families. And then after you find out, they tell you, don't tell anybody. You know, and this actually has happened to me. And I'm going like, I can't not tell anybody. Okay, you're telling me don't tell the rest of the, extended clan because I'll just start getting messages that I don't really want to deal with. Okay, but then at some level, you are connected to some people in your clan more deeply than others.
Right.
And you want to share some of it and you trust them enough to be able to tell them, okay, just keep it low key. How do you deal with something like this where you feel you need to give people the opportunity to close?
Well, that's true. If you're thinking of others, then that's a possibility. But if you're just thinking of yourself, that's not a possibility. So I'm not quite sure how, like I know my dad, and he is somebody who would keep things from him. But also we got to look at his partner too. This is another possibility. They were together for 21 years. So when I was there the first time visiting, he told me experience about their dog. So they had to put their dog down. So we're just adding more to the story too, but maybe like 4 months ago, they had to put their dog down. They knew this dog was sick, having issues, right? So they would take it to the vet, would have something done, take it to the vet. Eventually, the dog went blind, right? Couldn't see. In fact, I remember visiting them in 2019. I saw this dog. I knew the dog the whole time, but also, yeah, he couldn't see. So he's bumping into things, running this and that. So apparently the pain got so bad in the dog's eyes. I've never heard this before. So I'm just going to warn you. They had this procedure, which I guess happens, that they have the dog's eyes removed. So I even saw a picture of it. It's very weird looking. It was all stitched up and stuff like that. So then, they continue, spending time with them. They noticed, his health was not so good. So my dad decided to get the dog trimmed, right? It was like really furry. And so like once a year, they just kind of shave it all off. And then he said, when he took him in and they shaved off all the hair, he was shocked. It was bones. And he realized it's time for this dog to be put down. And then I asked him, why would you keep this dog for so long? And he goes, because I'm attached to him. Do you see the difference? So every relationship has attachment and love. Sometimes the attachment is much stronger. Sometimes maybe love is stronger, but you will always find it. People don't say that's true. Good luck to them. But so you can see that, whoa, it was their attachment to the dog. They couldn't see. My dad said, I would have put him to sleep months ago, but I couldn't do it. Do you see what I'm saying? So I have the feeling it's the same thing. Yeah, my dad didn't talk about much, and I think she did know things, but I don't think she wanted to accept it. Like even when I was there the first time, maybe there's hope. Let's get him strong again so he can get his muscles back. And I thought, that's a good idea. I'll help with that. But then when I came back for the second time, I told her, she's trying to give him to drink protein drinks. And she said, well, he needs to drink 6 of these a day. He's only having like a half a cup. I just said, finally, I said, you know what? It's beyond that. It wasn't until the hospice nurse told him, you'll never get your strength back again. Then it was like, boom, wake up call for him. Boom, wake up call for her. Do you see what I'm saying? So sometimes there's that. Yeah, she probably knew. But sometimes our attachment blinds us. He said, well, obviously when he had his quadruple bypass, he told us about that. That's a big surgery. But I didn't know about his diabetes. I didn't know about the liver cancer. I didn't know about any of these things. Maybe she did. But sometimes when we're attached, we just don't want to accept it. Yeah. So that's why our practice means, how do we let go of our attachment so the love that's already there can appear in our decisions and how we navigate our life. It's not easy though. That's why we have Dharma talks, retreats, daily practice, Sangha. It's very difficult to do this by ourselves, right? Just like I finished this one-day retreat and everyone always says the same thing. If it wasn't for the Sangha, I wouldn't be here. That's why we're here, to really address this, really get down to the source of all of our suffering, which always comes down to, what is this? What am I? Not knowing. From not knowing, love can appear. Okay. Thank you for your question. Any last questions, comments? Thank you for your questions, by the way. Very good. And sharing.
Okay. Well, it's 4:03. Thank you, Jason, for all your teaching and wisdom from everybody. We'd love to have you back again. I'm going to drop one quick link. We have a donate link on our website. If you would like to send Donna to Jason, you can just put for Jason in the comments. I just put the link in the Zoom chat. If you want to donate to us, you can also donate to us. You can donate to everybody.
Good.
Why not? Well, thank you, Jason. And we do hope that you come join us again. And have a good day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. for practice and circle.
Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing? Feels like it's been a while.
Oh, that's me.
This
recording's playing.
I wanted just to make an announcement for the Foundations of Zen. Whoops, sorry, let's take that back. Compass of Zen workshop.
What is that?
Well,
that's a YouTube channel.